Hello, I'm Chris Rogers with BBC World News. These are our top stories. Ancient towns and villages in central Italy have been rocked by another powerful earthquake. After 7 years of delays, Canada's Justin Trudeau arrives in Belgium to sign a free trade deal with Europe. Welcome. So, central Italy has been rocked by another strong earthquake close to the region where nearly 300 people were killed back in August. Now, experts measured the magnitude at 6.6. That makes this the most powerful earthquake seen in the country for decades. Its epicenter here was about 132 kilometres northeast of the capital, Rome. Numerous buildings were destroyed, as you can see from the pictures coming into the BBC so far. Italian officials say there have been no deaths, thankfully, reported to date. Now, emergency workers have been deployed to the worst affected areas. Reports have been people trapped inside the buildings. This woman just rescued from the rubble, many more following her. Let's get the latest now from Daniel Bircher.
Fire crews helped two nuns across the rubble left behind by this quake. It struck at around 7:40 local time near Norcia in central Italy. Some prayed out in the open, and in one of the squares, frightened residents sat, being comforted, taking in what had happened, as the region was hit again by an earthquake, this one measuring 6.6 on the Richter scale. Many buildings had already been weakened by powerful tremors last week, and those followed an earthquake in August that killed 300 people. These images posted on social media show the moments just after the quake inside a church, the congregation apparently calm, and more footage of shaking inside a different building. For many, it was a terrifying start to the day.
I was brushing my teeth and I ran straight under the table in my room. The shaking continued for about 20 to 30 seconds, and it was very violent. We were actually here working on the last event, so the one that happened in August. As we were arriving, the earthquake happened earlier this week, and then now this one.
Rescue teams have been clearing the rubble from the streets, making sure there is access for emergency vehicles. There have been some injuries, but the head of Italy's Civil Protection Agency says there are no reports so far of any deaths. A number of buildings have collapsed, and local authorities are still assessing the full extent of the damage. Daniel Bircher, BBC News.
Well, let's get an eyewitness account now. I'm joined by Janet Fullerlove. Janet is a British national who lives in the village of Colmerano. Not far, then, from the epicentre of this earthquake. Janet, how are you?
Still feeling rather shaken, to be honest with you. It takes a long time for your nerves just get basically very shredded by this kind of thing. Definitely.
I bet. Can you describe, if you can, what it was like going through this earthquake? We're hearing that people felt it in Rome. It was very powerful.
It was incredibly powerful. We were probably about 20 to 30 kilometres from the epicenter, and my husband and I'd woken up earlier and gone back to bed and woke instantly. The whole place started shaking. We were sleeping in a back part of the house, which is safer because it's a new build. The old part of our house, which is like many here, stone and brick, built on clay, really shook. We could hear things coming down. We dashed out barefoot, listening to buildings crashing in the distance. We could hear them. We could hear sounds of buildings crashing around us, and just watching our entire house shake. It's petrifying. It's terrifying. I can't begin to describe. I'm not scared much, but this really terrifies me. There's nothing you can do. Nothing.
I suppose we can be thankful that there's no reports of any deaths so far, because people are on such high alert in the region that you're in, and you're always told, aren't you, to get outside, get away from the buildings.
Well, either that, or you have to stand under a lintel or in a strong position in the house. I mean, the reason that we've all been on high alert, and in fact, indeed, last night I went and spoke to the local mayor in our village to warn her. We watch an earthquake forecast site on YouTube by Dutchsinse, and this guy's spot on, and he had it. He said there was going to be something like this. He was absolutely spot on. So he probably saved people's lives, you know.
It was great to talk to you. We're glad that you're safe. We wish you all the best as well. Do keep in touch with us. Let us know how you get on. Thank you very much, Fiona.
Thank you.
We're just getting an update from the Italian Prime Minister Renzi, who says that he doesn't know how many people have been displaced. It's too early to say. Hotels are to be used for temporary accommodation for those who've lost their homes. He's urging Italians to show generosity, courage and responsibility in this period of stress, as he put it, and said that all the resources they have will be put at the disposal of reconstruction. Reconstruction of these historic villages is not an issue. The Italian Prime Minister speaking in the last few moments. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has just arrived in Brussels to sign a free trade agreement with the EU. The agreement took 7 years to negotiate, and even the signing ceremony met with delay. The plane carrying the Canadian Prime Minister was held up for 2 hours because of mechanical difficulties, but he eventually arrived to be greeted by EU leaders. You must be wondering if it's ever going to happen. Our Europe correspondent Damien Grammaticus is at the meeting in Brussels.
You take a look now. We have here the President of the European Parliament. This is Martin Schulz, who's the last of the main delegates to get here. So that summit and signing ceremony will all be getting underway shortly. Now, we saw Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, coming in here. He got out of his car.